Poison Ivy issue 1, Jill Willow Wilson writing with Marcio Takara on the art. Take it away, Matt.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, so this was set up in the backup to Batman 124, and it's Ivy um, trying to get control of who she is because now she feels that she, when she got separated, there was the Queen Ivy persona, and she had basically Gotham in her hand, and at any point she could, bring its reckoning down. So she had all this power because she had separated her human or compassionate side. And then when the gardener and Harley put her back together, it stripped her of that power, or at least that's how she feels. And so, in order to uh, try to reclaim some of this power, she is driving across the country, and she has a plan that by the time everyone figures out what she's doing, it'll be too late, and that it involves using the mushroom Ophidia cordyceps. I can't remember the second half of it. I'm gonna have to look through, but it's this parasitic fungus that I'm sure people have seen it, where it infects like an ant and it completely turns the ant into a zombie, and then it takes the ant to the highest point where it'll fall off, and then it'll release some more spores. And so what Ivy's doing is she's going across the country and infecting people with this Ophidia cordyceps, and just leaving a reign of terror across. And as she's going, it looks as if she's peeling away the green. So she is really, the loss from Queen Ivy to back almost to Pamela Isley, who has a little bit of control of certain things, is really what's causing her to do this. She's struggling to have her relevance. And we find out that she stole a van from these two people she came across. She infected them with the Ophidia cordyceps. And they're blooming in the back, and she uses that to infect other people. So early on in the book, she comes across this ranch, and these two ranchers are trying to figure out what happened to the cows. She's there, and she infects them, and you find out that it's quick acting, and that she could see that this guy, as he has the gun, that she kind of wanted him to pull the trigger in things, but there's a part of it that she knows that she can't. But it winds up, she's driving across the country. She winds up in this bar, and she flashes back to Harley, and that Harley's upset that she's going to leave, and she's upset with Harley because when she had Gotham in the palm of her hands as Queen Ivy, they took that away from her. And, that's the most powerful she had meant, and they, because of her compassion, it was taken from her. So in this bar, these two guys hit on her. They think she's a sex worker. They won't take no for an answer. She goes to leave. They come outside the bar, and it starts to get dicey.
I want to quote Arnold here. I want to say big
Yes.
mistake in Arnold's voice.
Yes. And she deals with them and infects them with the fungus, and we kind of see what they see when they're infected with it. And she says that it's her only pathway into the green, is when she infects people with this, is that she almost gets a charge off of it. And she sees this kind of psychedelic world where she is still the Poison Ivy that we know, right? She still has her power. And wherever she's going, she feels like this is how she's going to get that power back. Takara's art here, when it gets to the psychedelic, it's not psychedelic in that way where everything's like lush, and it's almost scary. There's really jagged points. Her hair's all wild. She has claws, and it's quite frightening. So it's definitely, Ivy is embracing the villain side of here. But it's, she still is having these second thoughts because of, who she is. And as she leaves, she's talking about how, that humanity is an invasive species, and that the only way to deal properly with an invasive species is to remove them. And so as she drives away from this bar parking lot, the two people that she just turned into these basically mushroom colonies starts to twitch, and that's where the book ends. But yeah, it's I don't fully buy her being this full villain. I feel like by the end, because the way that she talks about Harley, and at first she was upset because uh, she felt like she was finally at her peak, and it was taken away from her because of her ties to humanity. I feel like that's the point of the book going forward, is that she's always gonna have these ties no matter what, right? She's not a purely plant being anymore, and I like that Wilson, pulled that from her. Is that in the we see in the Batman backup that she wrote, she's peeling, the green's peeling off of her, and so here she still has some control of things, but it's almost like it's waning. So it's her coming to terms with that she's still human and she's still part of the vivacious species, and that she'll have to go too. But by the time everyone figures out what she's doing, it's going to be too late. So I fully expect to see the gardener and Ivy and some of these other, people from, Ivy's sphere showing up and how it impacts them. But I thoroughly enjoyed this book. A shocker, right? Just Takara's art is the perfect showcase here. I really liked what they were doing in Wonder Woman through that arc with the what were they, the duplicates, where it's things feel just off enough to feel like there's something wrong. But so like in the pages with Ivy, feels like she's up to something, but you're not quite sure. But no, it's a really good book. And I'm curious to see where it goes, how long it lasts, because if this is only like a 6-issue thing, I mean, this seems to be the Ivy kind of book that we needed, kind of like Cycle of Life and Death was, where it kind of resets her as a character. But yeah, no, I'm gonna give this an 8.5.